Welcome back to the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide. I'm your Edo Storyteller. In our last episode, we experienced the life or death tension of the Sekisho checkpoints. We dug into the history behind the shogunate's absolute hostage paranoia and the laws that controlled women, right up to the relaxation of alternate attendance edict. We talked about the absolute bureaucratic nightmare of getting a travel permit and exactly what kind of crazy personal details were written on it. We also stepped inside the inspection room to see the harsh reality of these checkpoints and how adult women faced immense pressure and humiliation all just to go on a vacation. Today, your adult storyteller is going to take you in a slightly different direction. If the checkpoints were really that strict, wasn't there another way around them? And of course, before we officially hit the road, shouldn't we talk about packing? What exactly did an adult lady bring on a long journey without our modern rolling suitcases? How on earth did they carry all their stuff? Let's find out. Now, despite the incredibly strict rules at these checkpoints, you know what they say. Policies from above are met with countermeasures from below. Even though the sexual were absolutely terrifying, an adult woman's desire to travel was simply unstoppable. This burning desire gave rise to some very dangerous underground methods. This was known as Sekisho-yaburi, which plainly means smuggling. It refers to the act where locals would provide secret paths for female travelers who were unwilling or unable to pass through the checkpoints. This was a major crime back then. But for the sake of traveling, some were still willing to risk it. A woman named Imano Oito left behind a shocking expense record in her diary of the Ise pilgrimage. She wrote 36 mon, guide fee for the night path from Nojiri to Sekigawa. This single sentence reveals three massive secrets. She hired a guide, a smuggler. A local led her through a secret path to bypass the checkpoint. The time was at night because checkpoints were only open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Smuggling usually happened in the middle of the night. The price? 36 mon. How much is 36 mon? On that same day, she bought 2 pairs of straw sandals for 28 mon. In other words, the cost of smuggling yourself across the border was roughly equal to buying 3 pairs of shoes. Surprisingly cheap, right? Though if it were the strictest Hakone checkpoint, her recorded fees skyrocketed to 100 mon. But do not think this was a fun game. Although Imano Oito succeeded, history also has its tragic failures. Historical records mention a legendary pond that exists today called Otamaga Ike, which means Otama's Pond. In 1702, 2 traveling performer sisters named Osugi and Otama were chased by officials for smuggling through a checkpoint. With nowhere left to run, they threw themselves into the pond and committed suicide. Another version of the story says Otama was executed and her severed head was washed here, hence the name Otama's Pond. Because of this, the vast majority of women still choose to obediently apply for the documents and at the moment of crossing, place their hands together and pray that the inspection crone was in a good mood that day. Whether you choose to face the terrifying inspection crone at the official gates or risk your life on a midnight smuggling path, there was one harsh reality every traveler had to face. You had to carry everything on your own 2 feet. You couldn't exactly drag a heavy trunk through the mountains. This brings us to the most crucial pre-trip step, packing. The 61 rules for the road specifically addresses pre-trip preparations with this statement. When traveling, items should be kept to an absolute minimum, aside from what you carry in your breast pocket. If you have too much luggage, it is easily lost and will only become a cumbersome burden. While this sounds like common sense, luggage really should be as light as possible. The first step in packing isn't picking out clothes, but securing your lifelines. When traveling in the Edo period, there were a few things you could never be separated from. Treasure 1, the Onna Tegata, which means travel permit. We talked about this in the last episode. Without it, you couldn't even walk out of the city gates. Treasure 2, money. This sounds like nonsense, but Edo era money was physically heavy because it was made of gold, silver, and copper coins. According to historical records, people back then had a very strong concept of risk diversification. They would distribute different sizes of coins into different purses. One specific purse designed to hold small change for quick payments was called a hayamichi. The rest of the heavy gold would be tied tightly around the stomach. A fun piece of historical trivia. Back then, there was a self-defense tool called a money sword. It looked like a small katana, but it was actually hollow inside to hide gold. However, women were not allowed to carry swords, so this trick was for men only. Treasure 3, the first aid kit, which means travel medicines. If you open the traveler's cautions, it lists a massive array of essential medicines. For example, bear bile and kyogan for gastroenteritis and heat stroke. Golai-san mixed with pepper to prevent getting sick from drinking unfamiliar local water. But the most exaggerated part is that the guidebook specifically warned because travel makes you easily stressed, it very often leads to constipation. Therefore, you absolutely have to bring laxatives. Doesn't this sound exactly like modern people? So, there you have it. From risking your life on a midnight smuggling run just to bypass the guards, to meticulously tying heavy coins around your waist and making sure you have enough laxatives for the road. Traveling in the Edo period required an insane amount of courage and preparation. We've now got the absolute survival lifelines sorted out. Your Onna Tegata is safely tucked in your breast pocket. Your hayamichi is jingling with change. And your first aid kit is ready to go. But wait, you are not completely done packing yet. Survival is important, but what about saving face? How did an Edo lady maintain her appearance on the dusty roads? What about her clothes, her makeup, and the things she brought to cure boredom during those long walks? In our next episode, we are going to finish packing our Edo period travel bag. We'll move beyond the survival gear and dive into the minimalist, and sometimes completely bizarre, everyday essentials and beauty hacks these women carried. Before we wrap up, I want to specifically let everyone know that the content of every single episode of the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide is the crystallization of my hard work, painstakingly researched by reading a massive amount of specialized books, academic papers, and ancient documents by Japanese scholars. I hope by passing on this knowledge, this history comes alive. If you like the stories I've put together, please subscribe to the Edo Lady Traveler's Guide, leave a 5-star review, and share the show with even more friends. This is the greatest encouragement in the world for an Edo storyteller like me. I'm your Edo storyteller, and I will see you next time. Bye!